Fern ban mag jin Scorpio. As you hear these words, something in your life is already shifting, even if you can't quite name it yet. And the very same energy that pulled you to this video is the energy preparing to bring you a piece of big good news that will change everything and make you cry tears of pure joy. This isn't a random click. It isn't an accident. It isn't just another reading you stumbled across while scrolling in silence. Your soul answered a quiet call, and that call led you here. You have been walking through a long corridor of waiting, of hoping, of asking, when will it finally be my turn? And for so long it has felt like the universe was either silent or speaking in riddles. Yet deep down, beneath the tiredness, beneath the disappointments, there is a part of you that has refused to let go of the belief that something better was always coming. That quiet part of you, the one that never stopped whispering, "I know this is not the end of my story," is the reason this message found you now. In the days ahead, not in some distant future, but in this unfolding season, a moment will arrive that feels like the universe finally exhaling on your behalf. A message, an opportunity, a reconnection, a breakthrough that lands so clearly in your path that you will know without doubt, this is what my spirit has been waiting for. You may receive it as a phone call you weren't expecting, an email that changes the tone of your week, a green light on something that was stuck for far too long, or even a conversation that brings healing where you thought only endings were possible. Whatever shape it takes, it will not just touch your circumstances, it will touch your heart. Because this good news is not merely about something happening out there, it is about a divine confirmation that you were never forgotten, never overlooked, never left behind. Scorpio, you are the sign of rebirth, and because of that you've often had to live through endings that felt unfair, sudden, or too heavy for one soul to carry. You've cried tears in secret, smiled in rooms where your heart was breaking, and kept going when exhaustion wrapped itself around your bones. You've stayed loyal to people who didn't always see your worth, and showed up for responsibilities that didn't always show up for you. You have poured so much of yourself into others, into work, into survival, that somewhere along the way you began to wonder if life had quietly decided you would be the strong one, the one who holds, the one who comforts, the one who carries, but not the one who receives. And yet something in the rhythm of your days is changing. An energetic tide is turning in your favor, and the universe is rearranging the pieces on the board in ways you can't fully see yet. There is a heavenly logic to the delays you have hated, a secret purpose in the waiting rooms you have sat in. The doors that did not open before were not rejections of your worth. They were redirections protecting you from lesser chapters. Now, as your energy shifts and your heart begins to open again, life is preparing to send you a sign so tender and precise that it will be impossible to chalk it up to coincidence. You will hear a sentence, see a number pattern, receive a message, or watch a situation resolve in a way that feels like it was scripted specifically for you, and your eyes may fill with tears. Not the tears of defeat you've known too well, but tears of relief, gratitude, and recognition. So you did hear me, I wasn't alone, it really was leading somewhere. In the spiritual field around you, I see the energy of cards like the Sun, the Ace of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, and the Wheel of Fortune weaving together into a story that is both cosmic and deeply personal. The Sun speaks of joy returning after a long period of emotional cloud, of waking up and realizing that the heaviness that used to be there every morning is starting to lift. It is the smile that surprises you in the mirror, the laugh that doesn't feel forced, the moment you catch yourself feeling hopeful without having to talk yourself into it. The Ace of Pentacles is the tangible offer, the seed of opportunity that can grow into something real. Work that honors your gifts, income that supports your needs, a door that leads to stability instead of more anxiety. It might be a new job, a project, a client, a solution to a financial burden, or even help arriving from a direction you never considered. The Two of Cups, whether romantic, spiritual, or platonic, speaks of a heart-to-heart connection, someone whose presence feels like a soft landing after a long fall, someone who sees your depth instead of being afraid of it. This connection does not come to complete you or to save you. It comes to meet you, to walk beside the version of you that has already learned how to survive alone. And the Wheel of Fortune, that sacred turning, whispers that this is not just a slightly better week than the last. This is a pivot, a point on your timeline that you will look back on and say, that's when everything started to move in a different direction. The good news coming toward you is not random. It is part of a pattern of divine symmetry, the moment when your effort, your prayers, and your readiness finally align. But before this good news arrives fully formed in your hands, it has already been forming in your spirit. Scorpio, you have been doing some of the hardest inner work a soul can do, choosing not to become bitter, even when betrayal or disappointment would have made bitterness feel justified, choosing to soften even when shutting down would have felt safer, choosing to love again, trust again, or at least be open again, even after you promised yourself, never again. The external blessing, money coming in, a door opening, an apology or reconciliation, a long-awaited decision finally landing in your favor, is the visible echo of a change that has already happened inside you. When you began to say no to what diminished you, you quietly said yes to what could nourish you. When you allowed yourself to grieve instead of pretending you were fine, you created space in your heart that the universe could fill with something better. When you stopped begging for love that couldn't meet you and started honoring your own needs, you tuned your energy to a frequency that can only attract more honest, more stable, more soul-aligned experiences. This is why your good news is not a random stroke of luck. It is a reflection of your inner evolution. It might come wearing the disguise of an opportunity, a message, a gesture, or a yes where there were so many no's, but at its core, it is your own growth coming back to you in the form of grace. In the atmosphere around you, numbers like 8, 10, and 11 may start to appear more frequently. On clocks, receipts, screens, addresses, little winks from the universe reminding you that cycles are closing, karmic loops are completing, and portals are opening. 8 speaks of strength, abundance, and the return of energy you once poured out. 10 is completion, the end of a chapter that cannot stretch any further. 11 is awakening, alignment, a call to trust your intuition over your fear. You may also find yourself drawn to certain colors during this period. Gold that feels like confidence and divine favor, deep blue or indigo that calms your nervous system and reminds you of your inner wisdom, soft pinks or rose tones that reopen the door to gentleness, to tenderness with yourself. None of this is random. Your soul is preparing the emotional landscape to hold more joy, more clarity, and more blessing without collapsing back into self-sabotage or doubt. That is why this good news will not just flash and disappear. It will land in a way that you are finally ready to sustain. The universe is not interested in giving you a quick high that fades. It is guiding you into a steady shift where joy becomes less of a rare visitor and more of a familiar presence. Scorpio, some of the tears you will cry when this blessing arrives will come from the realization of what you survived to get here. You walked through seasons that would have broken many people completely, and yet you kept your heart from turning entirely to stone. You have scars, yes, but they are proof that you healed, not that you failed. There were nights you went to bed wondering if the point of all this was only to endure. Now you're entering a time where the point is to receive. That doesn't mean life will become perfect, or that there will never be another challenge, but it does mean that the ratio is changing. The balance between struggle and support, between giving and receiving, between holding on and being held. You might feel a strange tenderness as this news unfolds, like your heart doesn't quite know what to do with goodness after living so long in survival mode. Be patient with yourself in that adjustment. Allow yourself to feel joy without waiting for the catch. Let your nervous system learn that it is safe to exhale. You don't have to apologize for your happiness or shrink it to make other people comfortable. This next chapter is not only about what you do for others, it is also about what life is finally doing for you. As this energy builds, I invite you to participate in it consciously. You don't need rituals that are complicated or dramatic. Start with something as simple and sacred as putting your hand over your heart when you wake up and whispering, "I am ready for good news. I am open to receive what is meant for me." Throughout the day, whenever anxiety tries to creep in, take one slow, intentional breath and imagine light filling your chest. Then slowly exhale the fear of, "What if it never happens?" and replace it with a softer question, "What if it's already on its way?" If you feel called, write in the comments, "I welcome my tears of joy," or "I receive my life-changing good news," not as a superstition, but as an affirmation, a way of giving your subconscious permission to believe in a future that looks different from your past. Every time you choose hope over cynicism, you shift your energy. Every time you refuse to replay old stories of failure and instead lean into new possibilities, you line up a little more with the timeline where this miracle can land fully. You do not need to chase the blessing, you only need to stop running from the belief that you deserve it. There may also be a relational element to this shift. For some of you, the big good news may involve a conversation that finally brings closure, clarity, or reconciliation to a connection that has weighed heavily on your heart. It could be a misunderstanding cleared up, a heartfelt apology, an offer to start fresh with more honesty, or even a new bond stepping in to show you that love can feel safe, steady, and kind. For others, the good news will be deeply personal. A diagnosis improving, a long-standing fear dissolving, a door opening in work or finances that relieves a burden you've carried alone for far too long. Whatever the form, the common thread is this: you will feel seen. Seen by life, seen by God, seen by the universe, seen by your own higher self that has been working behind the scenes to guide you here. The tears you cry will not be just for what arrives, but for the deeper realization that you were held, even in the moments when you felt most abandoned. And somewhere deep in this journey, Scorpio, I want to gently remind you of something important, not as a break in the magic, but as part of its integrity. This narrative, this reading, is a mirror for your soul, not a rigid script that your life is forced to obey. It is one powerful possibility, a spiritual reflection, a kind of living prayer wrapped in story and symbol. If what you hear in this message resonates, if it awakens your intuition and makes you feel lovingly exposed in the best way, then take what feels true and let it strengthen your faith. If some parts do not fit your reality, let them pass like clouds drifting across your inner sky. No reading, no story, no voice outside of you can replace your own inner guidance, your own relationship with the divine. Think of these words as a thought experiment for your spirit, an invitation to believe that good news is possible for you, that joy is not an illusion, that shifts can happen in ways you cannot calculate. Let this be a gentle reminder that spiritual messages are not guarantees but doorways. You are always free to step through or keep walking in your own way, in your own time. Your choices, your actions, your wisdom, and your connection to God and to your own heart are what truly shape your path. So, Scorpio, as we move toward the end of this message, I want you to imagine the moment your good news arrives. Maybe you're checking your phone mindlessly when a message pops up and your heart skips. Maybe you're at work when someone speaks a sentence that instantly changes the direction of your week. Maybe you're alone in your room when a wave of peace washes over you so strongly that you know, without any evidence yet, something has already shifted for me. Picture yourself reading, hearing, or feeling that confirmation and noticing the warmth rising in your chest, the way your throat tightens just a little before your eyes start to shine. Picture the feeling of finally being able to say, "It happened. It really happened for me." Let that image live in your mind not as fantasy, but as a permission slip. You are allowed to envision your own joy. You are allowed to expect goodness without waiting for the punchline. You are allowed to let your nervous system experience safety, abundance, and relief. This is not delusion. It is alignment with the part of you that has always known you were made for more than endless struggle. If this message has touched something in you, honor that. Don't rush past it. Sit with the sensations in your body, with the memories that floated up, with the hopes that started to breathe again. Maybe after this video you'll feel called to write a few lines in a journal, to light a candle, to sit quietly for 3 minutes and whisper, "Thank you for what is already on its way." Maybe you'll feel the urge to take one small action that matches the future you say you want. A phone call made, an application sent, a boundary set, a fear faced. These simple acts are how you say yes to the energy that is already moving for you. And as you do, remember this: you are not begging life to be kind to you. You are partnering with a kindness that has been following you all along, waiting for the moment you were ready to receive it with open hands and an open heart. Scorpio, there is a chapter ahead where you will look back on this moment, the you sitting here listening to this, the you who has been tired yet still hopeful, and you will feel such tenderness for how hard you tried to keep going when you couldn't see the outcome. You will wish you could reach back and tell yourself, hold on just a little longer. The joy you can't imagine yet is already gathering around the edges of your life. Let this video be that voice for you now. Let it be the reminder that you are closer than you think. Let it be the whisper that carries you through these last steps of the old season and into the doorway of the new. And if you feel ready, truly ready to welcome what is meant for you, speak it into the space around you. I am open to my good news. I am ready for my life to shift. I welcome the tears of joy that come with my blessing. Your words carry power, Scorpio, and today they may be the first knock on the door of a miracle that has been waiting all along to find you.